Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a 10 things that no one talks about pregnancy edition, because whenever I sit down to film my weekly updates for you guys, there's always symptoms that I want to mention, but there may be just a little bit TMI for like a weekly update. So I decided to make a separate video for all those like TMI, weird, kind of gross pregnancy symptoms that no one really talks about. So if you're early on in your pregnancy or you're trying to get pregnant or even far along like I am, this is my second pregnancy and I am 30 weeks. So these are things that I have experienced throughout both of my pregnancies, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of pregnancy updates, and I have for a long time now, and no one really goes over these kinds of symptoms. So I figured, why not make this video so that we can all kind of relate to one another and hopefully make you feel like you're not the only one suffering. So the first symptom I'll mention is skin tags, and for some reason no one really talks about them. I don't know why, but I know they're a really common pregnancy symptom. I didn't experience them with Baylee, at least I don't think I did, but I've definitely experienced it this time around. And I get them mostly like in my armpit area, and then I actually got one early on in my pregnancy on the tip of my nipple, and it was the weirdest thing, and it eventually fell off a couple weeks later, thank God. But the ones around my armpit are like really small. You can barely see them, but they're definitely there, and they're definitely a pregnancy symptom. The second symptom that I want to mention is very TMI, but I'm going to mention it anyways, and that's hemorrhoids and constipation. And it's kind of self-explanatory, so I won't go into too much detail, but with constipation is a possibility of getting hemorrhoids. So I experienced it with Baylee, I'm experiencing it now. It's not fun, and it's definitely a pregnancy symptom that no one talks about. The third thing that no one really talks about is you might vomit while brushing your teeth. And especially in the first trimester, if you're very nauseous and you have extreme morning sickness. I didn't have really bad morning sickness this time, but with Baylee, I was sick as a dog and in bed for majority of the first trimester. And whenever I would get up in the morning and brush my teeth, I can't even count how many times I would vomit after brushing or while brushing your teeth. It's disgusting, and it definitely happens. The fourth thing that no one talks about is the amount of discharge you experience when you're pregnant. It is like a waterfall down there, and it's constantly wet and I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but definitely stock up on panty liners. The fifth symptom that people don't really talk too much about is sensitive skin and skin rashes. There's so many different pregnancy rashes that happen and can occur during your pregnancy, and I've definitely experienced it this time, and started as early as like 5 weeks pregnant, and it's kind of like gone up and down ever since. And I'll have some good days and bad days, but for the most part it's stuck around throughout my entire pregnancy this far. And the best way I can explain it is like little bug bites with, sometimes it looks like there's like a little whitehead, and they're mostly on my back, in the backs of my arms, the tops of my legs. It kind of reminds me of like an ingrown hair or something. I've never gone to a dermatologist or anything to see what it really is, but I've done my fair share of Googling, and I'm just convinced that it's a pregnancy rash. I don't know exactly which one it is, but I have a good feeling that once I deliver the baby that it'll kind of go away. But it's definitely a symptom that people don't really talk too much about, but I've definitely experienced this time. The sixth symptom is crazy vivid dreams, and this starts as early as you find out you're pregnant. And you go through a phase, or at least I did, and I did with Baylee as well, and I've talked to so many other pregnant people and they have said the same thing, but you go through this weird like sexual dream phase, and you wake up like convinced that these dreams have actually happened. And it's very common. I've done a lot of like research on it as well, and it's something that no one really talks about. They talk about like vivid dreams, but the sexual vivid dreams, no one really goes there. But I will mention it just in case some of you guys are experiencing that and you think, oh my gosh, like I'm crazy. No, it's definitely a pregnancy symptom, and you're not the only one. The seventh thing I want to mention is shaving becomes your form of working out. because once your belly gets to the point where it's just too big, bending over is almost impossible. So when you try to shave your legs in your shower, it becomes the biggest workout, and you become really creative in the shower to try and shave your legs, or sometimes you go like weeks like I do without shaving your legs because it's just too hard. But shaving your legs is definitely a workout once you get to the point where you can't bend over anymore. The 8th symptom that no one really talks about is you will forget things and you will have extreme pregnancy brain, or at least I did. And I still do. I went to go make a certain recipe for dinner one night, and I went out to the store and got all the ingredients that we didn't already have. And I went back home and started making it, and I was convinced that we had milk already. Like, I was so convinced we had it, and I threw everything back in the fridge, and I was like so pissed off because I couldn't make the dinner that I was really craving. And then the next morning I went to go make cereal, and I went in the cupboard and I had put the milk in the cupboard. So yeah, pregnancy brain is a real thing. The 9th symptom that no one really talks about is you might pee in your 3rd trimester if you sneeze, because that's happened to me plenty of times already in my 3rd trimester. I think in my 2nd trimester as well, but I think there's been like a handful of times where I end up peeing my pants, and it's not a lot, it's just a little bit, but it definitely happens because things aren't as tight down there as they used to be. And the 10th symptom that no one really talks about during pregnancy is your boobs might leak milk even before you give birth. And that has happened in both of my pregnancies, and I actually experienced it the other day, and I was gonna mention it in my pregnancy update for you guys, but I figured I would mention it here as well because it definitely happens, and it's something that I think you guys should be aware of. It's not like anything to be alarmed of, it's totally normal and it happens, but your boobs might leak before you give birth. So that's it. Those are the 10 things that no one really talks about during pregnancy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and kind of got some insight on what to expect maybe in your pregnancy. But aside from all of that and all those kind of weird, gross pregnancy symptoms, pregnancy is such a beautiful thing, and I'm so blessed and grateful to experience this the 2nd time around. I just want to throw that out there. I'm not trying to complain or bash pregnancy at all in any way. This is just kind of a fun video for me to film so that maybe some of you guys can relate if you guys are going through the same thing. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.